And for more, we go to Paris, where journalist Eduardo Quay joins us now for some of the latest. What's known at this hour, Eduardo? And I have to ask at the same time, a separate incident has also occurred where a man was taken down by police.
Well, we don't have much information on that. Actually, we are still at 3 dead, all of them apparently women, including the guardian of the church who was killed inside the church. A second woman was managed to escape after being injured to a nearby bar, but later died. And the third woman was also killed inside the church, apparently beheaded. But we still don't have 100% confirmation of that. President Macron will be flying to Nice from Paris this afternoon. There was a moment of silence in the National Assembly where the Prime Minister spoke. And at 3 o'clock Paris time, all of the churches in France will ring their bells.
Now, what is known about another incident here? A man with a knife yelling Allahu Akbar, drawing a lot of attention on the street, eventually taken down by police also today?
Well, as I say, I don't really have any, if you're speaking of a second incident, I don't have any information on that. The first incident, the man was injured by a bullet. He's in the hospital. The mayor of Nice said that he kept screaming, God is great, throughout the time that he was being arrested. The second incident that you're referring to, I haven't seen anything. It must have happened just a moment.
Perhaps I'm my error there. We're confusing the two the same incident here with the attack in the church, but then where they caught him on the street here. But we're also, Eduardo, stay with us, please. Here we're going to be going to our Middle East correspondent in the studio here, Adi Kopowitz, also for some of the bigger picture around this now. This strife obviously playing out violently on the streets of France here now, but this has been a regional, if you will, condemnation of the efforts within France to tackle extremism. How bad has it been?
Yes, David, during the last week, French President Macron became one of the most hated people in the Muslim world, with protests against him all over the Arab and Muslim world, and calls for boycotting French goods in Egypt, in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia, and in Libya, and in many other Muslim countries. Now, today, just will mark this, was supposed to be a happy, festive day in the Muslim world, as it is the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. This should have been a celebrative day, a holiday for Muslims all around the world, and instead we're seeing this spike of violence in France, related, obviously, to these tensions between President Macron and radical Islam in France. During the last few weeks, we've heard these clashes of words between Macron and different movements, Muslim movements inside France. Macron saying that France won't give away its characters and its freedom of expression and will not cope with Islam that doesn't cope with freedom of expression and peace, getting very harsh responses from all over the Muslim world. And now we're seeing this playing out in this violent spike in France. We'll have to wait and see what else happens and how this develops. And as we're talking just today, a security man in the French embassy in Saudi Arabia was attacked. The attacker was arrested by the Saudi security forces, but this is just another symptom of the very wide anger against France in the Muslim world.
And certainly nothing to scoff at here. These are all violent incidents, armed people taking action here now. How have the heads of state, the countries themselves responded? Obviously, Turkey's, under President Erdogan, has taken a very loud position against the moves being taken by French authorities. But what kind of action has actually been taken by countries in the region?
Well, Turkey itself is obviously the most vocal advocate against France, and specifically against French President Macron, with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan saying that Macron needs mental inspection for the way he treats Islam, calling to boycott French goods from the shelves in Turkey. But Erdogan didn't actually boycott France completely. We did see French goods being taken off the shelves in other countries, like in Egypt, and different calls on social networks, like in Saudi Arabia, to boycott French goods. Really not the best week for France in the Middle East. This is spreading wider and wider as we speak. But we have to say, France does have a relationship with so many different countries in the region, and it's hard to see a complete disconnection of relations because of this incident and because of this tension that we're seeing spiking during the last few weeks. However, the anger will probably translate into a certain scale of boycott and maybe even some economic damage to France and its trading in the Middle East.
And I want to go back to Eduardo Quay in Paris here again. Eduardo, again, due to the rapid nature of these reports coming out here, and as you highlight, not much known about the details, Sorry for the confusion in my first line of questioning here, but looking at France and in light of the things that he's painting here from the region, and there's been so much strife around the efforts by authorities there, is there anger growing in France today based on now, again, a gruesome attack, ostensibly in the name of Islam here, from what we are able to decipher from the reports that have come out? How are the people reacting?
Well, they're reacting with a shock. The Muslim leaders here in France this morning publicly called for a cancellation of all of the festivities associated with the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad as a symbol of solidarity with the French people. Muslim leaders, of course, moderate Muslim leaders, as well as the French political class, extremely worried that this kind of violence might lead to counter-violence by people attacking Muslims. In fact, we had one such incident last week. So there is a growing tension here. People are both shocked and extremely upset at what is happening, and there are these fears that we may see a degeneration of violence now, not only from radical Muslims, but also maybe from extreme right-wing people who might be wanting to attack Muslims. And that is why the Muslim community today has come out very strongly to express their solidarity with the French people.
Certainly in good taste there, given the moment. The good decision appears on the part of that community. But in France, in the last week or since this has all been ramping up here, have there been warnings by police or authorities? Were they concerned about further attacks, given the tensions around the efforts?
Well, after the attack last week that killed the school teacher, Samuel Paty, the police and the government did say that more attacks could be expected. They're not really coming as a surprise anymore, unfortunately. There may be some more attacks. What is new is this extreme violence of attacking by beheading and also attacking symbols such as the schools. That shocked the French very, very much last week, because education is one of the main pillars of French society, has always been the case since the 19th century. And now we see, but not for the first time, we see an attack inside a Catholic church. So another symbol of France. And it just seems as though we're going to have to get through this period, but more violence is certainly not to be ruled out.
Eduardo Couey, thanks for joining us from Paris.